5:02 p.m. We called a special meeting / public comment kind of input on the recent proposal for Morrish Elementary. So that's why we're here, predominantly for that. So we'll have our guidelines here. So Sue, would you please give call to order? I believe Mr. Engel just went outside, so I know he's present.
Jerry Germain.
Present.
Jenny Walgast.
Present.
Autumn Henry.
Here.
Chuck Melkey.
Present.
Kim Winter.
Here.
Ken Engel.
Here.
And Andrea Fick is absent.
Andrea Fick's absent. Did she call and tell anybody for an excuse or anything? I haven't got a call. Okay. All right. So, thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to do is as you know, at our last board meeting, Wynn Cooper, a representative from, I don't know what you call them, Megasite, Fija, I've heard it called everything, Maple Hill LLC, and other groups, dropped off a sealed purchase agreement with a buying price of approximately, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, $40 million. And since then, we've sent it to our attorney for review, and we are going to make copies available, if it hasn't already been done, online. Okay, thank you so much, Superintendent. So we have paper copies, but they will be available online, is my understanding. And so you can review it yourself, and it is public property. And you guys have a lot to say about it because you're taxpayers. So with that being said, that's my little spiel this afternoon. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go right into public comment, if I'm not mistaken. I ask you to please be polite, or cordial anyways, and limit your comments to 3 minutes and address the board. I will open up that for public comment now if anybody wants to take the first stab at it. I thought there might be more people here, but there's enough. So, yeah, would you like to come up? Yes. Just please state your name. And the clock, I think Travis is running the clock. Is that true, Travis? Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Eder Deal, Gaines Township, and I have been asked to read a comment on behalf of Mr. Brian Bender. So with your permission, I'd like to proceed if that's okay.
It's your 3 minutes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Well, here we are again. Almost 1 year exactly, since the last offer from the Flint Genesee Economic Group, except this time they sent in a hired real estate gun instead of Tyler. A person, Wynn Cooper, by the way, who would receive close to $2 million of taxpayer dollars if he can convince you to say yes tonight to their recent offer. An offer that is almost identical, including the amount of $40 million, to last year's offer. So what has changed, if anything? First, they have spent the last 12 months destroying both neighborhoods and forest, wildlife, and people's lives, including school children who attended Morrish Elementary last year. The Maple Creek subdivision HOA was infiltrated by people who didn't even live in our community. People like Joel Fick, who actually is a trustee on the Grand Blanc Township Board, if you can believe it, and the subject of a recent recall effort there. Tyler has also spent the last year telling everyone who will listen that his 1,300-acre parcel is the best piece of property in the entire country, yet not one site plan or agreement has been signed to our knowledge. I say to our knowledge because they lied to us at least once already with a failed SanDisk agreement. So if this property is so special, why come back a year later with the same exact dollar mark, but with a little extra perfume and more lipstick on the pig? I can't answer that, but here's what I do know. And there's 3 bullet points and then a final paragraph. I think I'm running out of time. I'll just back to the offer and the timing. Unless I'm mistaken, you don't have another property purchased to build a new school, and even if you did, 40 million would not be enough to build it, especially in less than 2 years. Please hold the line and wait. If a deal does get done, you can deal directly with the company moving in, no middleman. They will pay much more than $40 million, and you can take back the power to work on your timeline, not Tyler's, who, by the way, famously said they don't need Moorish. Take him up on that.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian Jones, local resident. How you doing, Mr. Jansrad? All right. From what I just heard, let me just throw this down. The guy that supposedly was the real estate hired gun, I actually watched the October 22nd board meeting, and that man stood up here and talked to you. I don't know if your memories aren't that long or that good or whatever. He was here, so I guess you can start with that as to what that last comment was about. Meanwhile, I want to speak to a couple weeks ago, I believe, Ms. Henry here said that she at no time ever voted to not sell Morris School at any time, at any price. I gave her a chance to go back on that and reconsider. Also, I have here, because, I like to bring proof, October 22nd, 2025. A motion was made by Chuck Melke, supported by Andrea Fick, to ask, does the board have any intent to sell Morris at any given price? Carrie Germain said yes. Andrea Fick said yes. Chuck Melke said yes. Ken Engel said yes. Autumn Henry said no. And Kim Winter said yes. And Jenny Wolgass said no. So, I don't know. I guess maybe you don't pay attention to how you vote, or you just don't remember how you vote. But that's definitely something you might want to track, because people are tracking it. We know who votes how and what you say. And we'll just, I'll always be here to call you on it. So you guys have a nice night.
Thank you, sir. Please step to the podium and give us your name, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'm Debbie Bush. I'm Swartz Creek resident. I live on Hill Road. Actually, not too far from the mega site, but not in my front yard or backyard. I'm not going to speak on who voted what or what happened on past meetings. I want to vote on what we're looking at today at this meeting, regardless of who in the past has said anything. I do have some concerns. I don't know if we're looking at buying the school, or you could be looking at taking the money and doing additions. 6 one way, half a dozen another. But I think one of my concerns are the cost of what we're looking at just in the last 6 months. I have done some looking at some of the cost increase on construction, and my notes are a mess here because I didn't plan on getting up this quick. In the last 6 months, building materials have gone up 3.5%. It seems to be a low percentile, but it's continuing to raise every month. The largest increase since 2023. Services such as framing, electrical, plumbing, and all of that has considerably gone up. Molding, trim, copper, 50%. Tariffs on aluminum and steel is 28%. Delivery cost alone for delivering materials can be astronomical right now due to tariffs and the continued increase in gas purchases, which a large amount of our delivery is done through trucking and things like that. I know that you did a hard review of cost a year ago when this contract was offered to you, but I think that needs to be re-examined before any decisions are made either way due to that continued escalation of cost in the construction industry. My second thing is, if I were looking at buying a house in Swartz Creek, and this is a big factor for anybody living in the Swartz Creek area or considering building in the Swartz Creek area, one of the things that would be high on my list are schools. And I think Swartz Creek has done a lot of improvements. We've got a basketball facility, we have a beautiful baseball facility, and whatever. We have a nice baseball field now. But what I want to look at is where we're standing academically. How are we doing on educating our children? And our numbers are extremely low. And I would love to see us be able to offer that instead of a new school or additions or whatever. I would like to know that that's a good place to get an education and my kid's going to have a chance. You know, those are the things that are important to me as a resident and as a buyer. And I'm done.
Thank you.
Donna McManus from Swartz Creek. And my big concern is why take that school out of there? That is the most beautiful school I have ever seen. I compare that, covered for me, of course, and I've been out of school for years. We pay taxes, we pay renewals. We can't afford any more renewals. The seniors are half starving because we're paying so much school taxes anymore. Have you ever thought about that? Some people can afford them. We can't afford them anymore. And we can't afford all these renewals. And I don't think that if you go and put that at school, tear that down, even if you build a new one, it's going to be money. Going to be hollering for this renewal of these renewals that's already out there. We can't afford them anymore. And I think that, Morris, you've got a lot of kids that are right in that Linden subdivision over there, Linden Road subdivision. What are you going to do? Bus them all the way out there out there in the sticks to Gates? They can't take it, those little kids. I know, my daughter was bused clear to Gates. And it's one of the hardest things on those little kids. You cannot bust those kids out of that marsh. Those little kids. They cannot stand it. It's very, very upsetting to those kids. And I think they should just forget it. 40 million isn't going to build it. It's not going to do it for you or for anybody else. And I think that they should do something and think right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm a little taller. Lex Alden. I have 2 current students in Swartz Creek, one in elementary, one in the high school. I also am the proud step-parent of 2 Swartz Creek graduates. We don't want to be here. We don't want this to be what we have to talk about tonight. The signs have been all over the community. Mega site, it was nobody's first option. The fact is, over 200 properties have been purchased and leveled for this site already. That's a lot. You drive down Hill Road one week, the next week it's different. It's unfortunate. It is. It's not what we wanted to see to our community. But I fear we're past the point. Some type of industrial complex is bound to show up. When? My research shows it takes up to 3 years to build a school. Well, we might be a year behind. Not ideal. I'm not a building expert. I just did a couple of little searches. We have to start thinking about it now. The offer that's on the table gives us a chance to get the ball rolling. It's a beautiful school. It's wonderful. It houses probably generations of students, wonderful staff, teachers. It's beautiful. My son did summer school out there last year. But with what's coming is the concern. Do we want our kids and our staff and our community that close to some type of industrial site? As a parent, that would concern me. The traffic, hey, sometimes kids, take a wrong turn, make through a fence or something. Where are those kids gonna go? Kids that, might be old enough to walk. Where's that gonna leave them? It's very much where I stand. What's coming is coming. We can't stop it. People have tried. Those megasite signs, no megasite signs, they're still staked out there. And it's still here, and it's unfortunate. But it's time. It's time that we look at this seriously. It's time that you as a board set aside your differences. We let go of some of this behavior that we've had going on. And we need to ask what impacts you guys are gonna leave for our future students. Also, while we're in these negotiations, please, 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 consider the repercussions of your actions, the behavior. Keep all of that in mind. And then one final thing to question is, how far would $1 million go in building a new school? Thank you.
I didn't catch your name, ma'am. I know you said it. I'm sorry.
Lex.
Lex?
Lex Alden.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board?
Hi, I'm Julie Aslan, and I live right near that mega site, and it has been a pain ever since it started that they didn't tell us anything, and now then they snuck the school thing in. And what I was wondering, has anybody done a cost analysis on the building, the materials, and then there's tariffs on it, about the infrastructure, water, are they going to have water, they're going to have sewer, what kind of heating are they going to have? And the construction, like Morris is built with brick, and I know brick is extremely expensive. And I personally don't think $40 million is going to build a new elementary school with today's standards. And so I think it'll cost more. And also, is there any land already purchased for the school, and how much will land cost? And how much is needed for the school? How much land would the building require? And does anyone know the square footage of the school of Morris right now? Okay. So, yes, it will take a long time. And then I was thinking about the children, that they'll have to bus them in other areas. It's going to cost more for busing because you're going to have to spread these kids out all over. And what if you have one family, you got kids in different elementaries? You're passing them all over the place. And so do they have a plan for where the kids would be going? And do the other elementary schools have enough room to accommodate them? And so, yeah, I just don't feel that that $40 million is enough to build a new building. I just think it's grossly inadequate. And the fact that this real estate person, $2 million, that's a lot of money. And also another thing is, why are they just offering $40 million, the same rate they offered before? I thought, they should, that you guys should be able to negotiate with them, or say, ask for what you feel is needed. And just keeping it at $4 million, I feel like nothing was gained. And so, I don't know, it's a mess. And I really wish that things could get resolved. I hate to see that beautiful school getting torn down. They tore up our neighborhood. Everything's a mess right now with those people coming, just ripping everything out. So, I guess that's all I have to say for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, Leah Davis from Mundy. I live right across the street from the school. People say they don't want the kids to go to the school there, but the kids live there. They live right across the street from the mega site, just like I do. And if the school sells their property, our linked to getting in through the neighborhood to walk our dogs and take a walk or ride our bikes. That will be gone. This is a public asset. We don't want to have to go all the way down to Linden and Maple Road, that terrible intersection, and try to cross the street over there. It's easier, that little area, that little sidewalk that you have that goes right out to Linden Road is a lot easier for people to get past the traffic, in my opinion. That's where I live. It's dangerous there anyways, though, because of how they narrowed down the lanes, so the traffic, I don't know, they must have wanted to slow the traffic down, but it's just, it has increased the traffic, actually. They're maybe a little bit slower, but it's a constant thing, especially during different times of day. But anyways, I shared something on social media and I wanted to read it to you. It appears the same company, Lurvy, that built the ball field in Swartz Creek apparently has no shame in demolishing multiple neighborhoods in an entire 2-square-mile community for the NGOs, and even wants to claim dibs to build another Moorish. Where is the fair trade? It seems they have joined hands with the deep state, cornering the market on the backs of the taxpayers. Do not give them another red cent of our public funds. In my opinion, what's best for the kids and their families is that the advanced manufacturing industry does not creep into their living space, period. How can the state allow a non-government entity purchase our public asset with our public funds? Where are all those ingenious lawyers on this case? Michigan is selling itself out. The people have to take a stand against the blatant thievery, be brave, and do what's right for the community at large. If it's the best site in America, a company will come in and buy the school out properly and fairly. The backdoor deals must stop with the residents taking a stand and say, no, this is our community and this is our school. They've taken everything else without our consent. And they can't have this, too. We want them to get out of our township and stop destroying our community, period. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Charlotte Snooks, and I've just got some kind of concerns or questions. And I don't envy the board for having to make a decision, because you're really in a rock and a hard place. If you keep Moorish and eventually a of some kind of a chip factory or a data center comes in there, what new families are going to want to send their kids there or live around there even? And if you build a new school that's in a proximity to the mega site, chip factory, whatever they're going to build, what new families would want to even come in, because they're going to be looking at that too. They're not going to want to live in the, the community where this is. I know the cat's out of the bag already, and they've already, planned on something, but I wish whoever started this whole thing in the first place would have thought of the repercussions it would have brought to a community like Swartz Creek. And that's all. I don't know if anybody's thought of. Either one of them would be maybe a problem for new families coming in and sending their kids there or even living around there. Because I'm sure the people whose houses were bought and destroyed, they're probably not in Swartz Creek anymore. They got out of here because they didn't want to live here anymore. That's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Michelle Clark, a parent and community member. I think we're stuck. We're stuck with a big, country square mile of land that I hadn't driven past in a long time until I went to pick up school food last Thursday or the Thursday before, whenever that started. I hadn't driven down Maple Road. I had driven down Hill Road, but I hadn't driven down what's now the loveliness of Maple Road. And it's disheartening to see the field. And at least it's got crops in it this summer. But the houses are torn down. I don't know that there's a fix for what we have. I don't know that there's a good choice. I'm just disheartened by the fact that this has torn our community so much since it started. one of the main reasons I got up, Chuck, I was listening as I drove here. I think the reason you don't have more people here is, and it's the same thing we've talked about before when special meetings are called and they're held at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And it's perfectly legal, there's nothing backdoory. But if you want to get parents here, if they work till 5 and have to pick up kids at daycare, they can't be here at 5 o'clock to let you know what their opinions are. I was listening on the way here, and I thought there would be more people here, but it's really hard as a working parent. I work from home. Sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I can't. But that does make it hard as a parent to get here, especially for folks that don't work at home or work a little ways away. It's really hard to be here at 5 o'clock on a work day.
Thank you. Sir?
John Crandall from the Sticks of Gaines. I agree with some of these people, you know, we're either going to have a school stuck surrounded by an industrial complex, or it's time to move on. And if you could look back 50 years and say, hey, we're going to build this, leave it for 50 years, and we're going to get offered $40 million for it. Is there any other elementary school we could get $40 million for? I guess I just want to give my support. If you think a counteroffer is in order, that would be great. I would like to see us get more than 2 years on the lease, because it seems like we need to do a lot of dialogue to decide where we go from here. So we're not going to get started immediately, but it seems like it's time to let this die and move on. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Is there anybody else? Yep.
Hello, everyone. Michelle Grosher was in Mundy Township. That's where I grew up. And then I'm like about a little over a mile away now, right in Search Creek. And I just want to remind everyone that there's a deadline of May in 2028 to have that land cleared out for this project. I don't even think it's possible, from what I understand, for a school to go through all the steps that need to be taken to be built. And I also want to really emphasize the fact that we've paid for one school already. We should not, as taxpayers, have to pay for another school. Not to mention, if you don't get enough money for this, you're going to be coming back at us for more and more money to cover what you don't get. I just don't think that's right. If there's no purchaser yet, there's no buyer at this point, I mean, there may not end up being a buyer. This could be another bankruptcy from Michigan. Check out our history. We have bankruptcies, a list of them, and so do several other states when it comes to this high-tech stuff and EV industry and semiconductor industry. There are a lot of bankruptcies. I wouldn't necessarily count on this even happening. We have less than 2 years. So, and that is what the agreement is between the state and the developer, Maple Hill LLC. So please, please, please think of holding on to this school for the sake of the taxpayers that don't need to be hit again. And if a company does come in, let that company deal with the school and pay you. There's other states that the semiconductor industry, that's our big target. I'm going to say that over and over again. That's what we're hoping for. There are semiconductor plants in other states who have paid for their properties. They haven't received help from the government, their state government, and they pay for that property and all the development. So they can pay the school, not the taxpayers, not twice, please. I ask you to consider this, and what this woman has said, and many of the women and men who are in that same corner, in that same line of thought. Please, thank you, And I'm sorry that you're in this position. I know it's tough, but thank you.
Thank you.
Name's Rick Bush. Lived all my life in Swartz Creek. I got one question. All these houses have been sold. Whose name is on the title? If it's this company, LLC, they can do anything they want with it. They can go, I own 40 acres. I can go to the township. If I want to build a subdivision, I can if I meet their regulations. So what are they going to do with this land if manufacturing doesn't come? They're going to make a huge profit on building houses, which is good for Swartz Creek because we get all the taxpayers. But we need a school there. And if you keep the school, like other people have said, if a company's coming in, they don't want that school there, they're going to buy it out. If they don't mind the school there, they join us. And also I've heard that they don't pay no taxes for 14 years. So what that is going to happen with Swartz Creek? There was all these hundreds of houses that were tore down was income for our kids. Let's raise the education level of Swartz Creek. Back to when I graduated, we didn't have to, if we had a certain grade level, we didn't have to take the test to get into college. That's how good it was. We had shop, we had welding, we had coal mech, we got, everything here. Why do we not go back to what it used to be, a great school? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Jamie Aslan. Just a few thoughts about the price. If someone approaches you and wants to buy something of yours that's not for sale, they don't set the price. You do. You decide what is fair. And they have said that it's a fair price based on a third-party, knowledge. If that's true, why didn't they just come up with that in the first place? There's been a lot of problems because of meetings, secret meetings, and backdoor things that could have been avoided if they would have just said, hey, we have a third party and we know this is a fair deal. Do you want it or not? So I guess with my thing, I don't feel that they're working, obviously they're not working in the best interest of the community. They may say they are and that the mega site's a good deal, but they don't care about the taxpayers of Swartz Creek School District. They don't care about the fact that the money's coming from Michigan taxpayers. It's not their money they're spending other people's money. So, I just don't think that there's anything about this that sits right. And, I have looked too in what other schools have cost. And, maybe you could get something that you don't really want, for what they're offering. But once all the fees and the studies and the land purchases go through, are we going to be happy? Are we going to say, yes, we did not get hosed by this. We didn't get, worked over. So I guess that's just my thoughts on it. So thank you.
Thank you. No, you only get one. There'll be another public comment once we have our discussion. Ma'am?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Staten. I think it would be a disservice if I didn't speak. There is no easy answer here as I look at your board members. Everybody sitting here behind me doesn't want the school to go. You might find a handful of people here that think it's in the best interest of the students and the school. First of all, you can't build an industrial site against a school zone. You need to check your building codes before you decide that and use that as one of your things that you're making a determination with. I've done the research on it, so I do know that. Then you have the bigger elephant in the room, which is, do you want to build and keep a school in an area that could be potentially hazardous to your students? And then you have to ask yourself, does the school have a liability at that point to ensure the safety of their students? Which puts you on the other side of the angle, which is the reason, yes, why you should sell. Because you do need to protect the students. But the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what are we protecting our students from? Because they're right, as we sit right now, there is no buyer, there is no plan, there hasn't never been a plan. The plan was to come in and demolish homes and to wipe out a whole 2-mile square radius with the hopes that by the time they were done, they would have something in a plan, which they don't still. Maybe there will be a plan. It's only zoned for the manufacturing and it's only zoned for the residential, so you're right, they could come back in and they could build residential homes. It could remain for the farming rights, which have been granted to the farmers to farm that until the property has been sold forever, indefinitely. So the farming will continue. But I guess I got to ask the board here, the biggest question of all is, why now? The offer didn't go up. The offer hasn't changed. So why are you even discussing it again?
Thank you. Okay. We appreciate everybody's comments. And I'm glad that you came. And we have, people are getting out later. I'm sure they can come because this will probably go for some time, the meeting. So with that being said, we'll go into discussion on the actual purchase agreement. And I believe everybody has a purchase agreement in front of them, and we were provided with one about 2 weeks ago, and a copy has been sent to our attorneys, a real estate attorney at Throon Law, to review it. So I will open the floor for board comment, and I'm sure there'll be turns, so try not to interrupt your fellow board member. We'll each take a few minutes and then go back around again to see what some of the afterthoughts are from the initial thoughts. So if anybody would like, please acknowledge that you would like to talk, and we'll move on. No, you just raise your, tell us, yeah, I'll give you the floor when you call me. You want the floor? Go ahead, Jenny. Ms. Walgast.
Okay. So, you know, as Brian pointed out, we did vote on this before about just everybody's opinion of where they stood with even selling Moorish. And as he pointed out, when we voted before, my position was that it was not appropriate to take the offer. Nothing has changed, in my opinion, that has made this any better situation, any different situation. We still do not have any idea who might be going in there. There might not be anybody going in there. Obviously, the Flint Genesee Economic Alliance is working as hard as they can to try to get somebody in there. They don't really share information with us. I don't know that even if they had somebody, even in end stages of negotiation, that they would share that information with us. So we're gonna be finding out, likely when everybody else does, if or when there's any kind of agreement for somebody to go into that location. They're targeting a large corporation. Obviously, the corporation is going to be trying to take advantage of some tax deals and a good deal on the land by using this program and taking advantage of the tax dollars that we've all contributed to it. So there's no reason why they cannot give money to the school directly, the school district, for that school, for that property. We do not need tax dollars twice. We don't need to have these Michigan SOAR grants or whatever other funding sources Flint Genesee Economic Alliance is using through Maple Hill LLC to purchase these properties. If there's a company that wants our land, let them come to us, give us an offer, we can negotiate with them. The money's coming out of their pockets, out of their profits. It's not coming from tax dollars. People are saying that they don't want kids going to school right next to an advanced manufacturing district. I don't either. I don't want kids living next to an advanced manufacturing district. Even if we were to take this deal, pack up all those kids, move them into different places, that doesn't change where they go home to. There's so many subdivisions in that little area where those kids live. So just because they aren't going to school in that particular location does not mean that they're escaping the impact of whatever company goes in there. So yes, we might, and honestly, everybody in Swartz Creek is near that site. So it doesn't even matter where you live in Swartz Creek. If you're in district for Swartz Creek, you're going to be affected by whatever goes in there. There's going to be pollution, there could be noise pollution, there could be all kinds of other considerations. So it's not like moving kids out of that Moorish building will save them from being exposed to whatever's going to be there. They might be a little bit further away for a few hours during the day. They're still going to be affected by it. So that's why, that's my opinion. That's why anytime any asks me if we vote, any action that we have to take, I'm going to say this is not where the money should be coming from. And I do feel for the kids that are going to be impacted, but, this is just one part of the impact that somebody moving into that site will have. And I don't believe that us taking this deal is in the kids' best interest. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Jenny. Next person, Ms. Vick.
So I know the last time we had this in front of us, the lawyers redlined a lot. Do we have a version from them redlined, or is this the version already redlined by them? Okay. So there's that. I know there's a lot of controversy about the price. The price is the same. They came to us, they brought us an offer. We didn't have the building for sale, so we didn't have a market value on this building. They came to us to bring us the same offer. They could have brought us less. We said no to the first offer. We said we wanted more money, and they said, we don't have any more money, we'll be a good neighbor, and they moved on. So I don't know that we have room to negotiate. We've called their bluff once, and they said no. As far as the option to let whoever buys the property to build something there buy our school, ironically, there's a school for sale right now in Genesee County. Clio School District, 16 days ago, listed an elementary building that sits on 10 acres. Slightly smaller, let's say half the size of Moorish. I think we're at, Ken, do you know off the top of your head, 57,000 square feet for Moorish? The number rings a bell, but anyways. This one is 36,888 square feet. Also sits on 10 acres. We sit on 9.26 or 9.62 over at Moorish. So very comparable, Genesee County Clio schools. Anyone want to take a guess at what their market value is on that building? 1.2. $1.2 million is the market value on a school that sits in Genesee County on 10 acres, let's say 3,700 square feet. So let's say we're half that size. We're looking at a market value of $3 million. So whoever comes in is not going to give us this absorbent amount of money to rebuild something. I don't know all the details of the Maple LLC and whatever, but I know when they've come in to make offers for people, they've been giving them more than their market value to make them whole to where they had to go move. Somebody told me they sold their house, they bought when the market was low, they were at 2% interest. So even though they got some extra money, they're like, I'm not ahead of the game. By the time I go buy that house today, 7 years later, it's gonna cost me $100,000 more, and now my interest rate is now 6.5, not 2. So they're giving people more money to help make them whole somewhere else. Whoever comes in to buy it is gonna give us market value. So if you're curious, look up the property in Clio. It is 11218 North Linden Road. Very comparable to what we have to offer. So I don't know market value on elementary schools. Like I said, this just happened to pop up. And someone called me, actually I saw the listing. They were asking realtors to send resumes several months ago. I did not, because I don't do commercial buildings like that. So I did not take that or turn in a resume for that, but I did see that it hit the market 16 days ago. So there's a very comparable sale for us. What else did I want to talk about? Somebody mentioned this was a 1 square mile. It's actually 2 square miles. So I know that it makes a big difference when you're looking at land. 2 square miles of uninterrupted land, I think that's why it's desirable. I don't know the reasons, but it does make sense because you don't have that mile. I don't know, I looked, the last time we talked about this, about the parameters where, how far away a factory had to be or something had to be. I don't remember, I'd looked up industrial, but it was like 300 yards. That's 3 football fields. They literally could be 1 mile away from us because this is a 2-mile stretch and still be, 7/10 of a mile, of their building. I mean, they could be quite a ways away from us in this 2-mile stretch and still be a mile away from us. And Michelle made a great point about the 5 o'clock meeting. I myself was late. 5 o'clock is early to get here when you have a work day. I don't know if we can extend the agreement to stay. I mean, maybe they can extend their agreement with the government. I don't know. But there's obviously things that we could talk about and counter. It's still a great school. True, but it is like 70 years old. And there's some realities there with what it was, what it is today, what we could have. We do own land. To answer that question, we own 10 acres that we've bought in the last 4 years since I've been on the board, 10 acres that touches the south end of the property at Elms Road Elementary, and it goes all the way down to Bristol. And we were given a proposal last year that we could take the floor print of Elms, attaching it to Elms, so all of your utilities are already there. We don't need to go buy a piece of vacant land, start over, and we could take that blueprint, floor plan, flip it over for 22 million, I believe was the number we were told, on the 10 acres we already have. That gives us 18 million to have for cost adjustments and to rebuild our ball field. So, saying the land's already there and the opportunity to start on a building we already have is there as well too. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, next board member that would like to have the floor?
Chuck?
Yes, Mr. May.
So I just, for the folks who have not seen this, that's $40 million up front, which is bankable and would accrue interest, as I understand it. That is money that this district could benefit from in a variety of ways. It's not necessarily associated with whatever we decide on a school. Just want to make sure that people know that. And the money is up front, which is different than the last time.
Is there anything else, Carrie? Not right now. Okay. Any fellow board members? Kim, go ahead, Miss Kim.
Yeah, I would like to first say, I thought it highly insulting of this guy to come in here at the last meeting and say, you've got 2 weeks. That was absolutely ridiculous. The amount of money, yeah, we're gonna make some interest, but again, I think it would be more appropriate for a company to come in there and come to us and make an offer themselves. I mean, this is just, and then, of course, we have this man who's gonna make $2 million. And as Jenny has already pointed out, these kids live there. It's not like anybody isn't gonna be affected by if something's put there, they live there. So, I mean, I'm inclined to turn this offer down. And when I said, also, I'd like to make clarification on something. When I said last time at the meeting, Ken had asked what was our intent. When I answered yes, that was actually supposed to be, I would consider it. But that's what I meant. I wasn't definitely going to say yes right then. But I'm inclined to say no right now.
Thank you, Kim. Is there anything else? No? Autumn, did you want the floor? Or no?
Yeah, I'll go. Okay, just want to start. The price of the school, it doesn't matter what they assess it at. It goes on demand, right? This is a highly sought-after piece of property by people who want to buy it with people's tax dollars. Okay, the demand drives the price. You can, that's why the market fluctuates so much, right? Because there's different demands. But I'm glad that you can flex your realtor, up here, but that's not, the 1 point, whatever you said it was listed for, isn't even comparable because the demand isn't there. So it has zero effect on the cost of Morris Elementary. Not only that, but we have several people out here who are concerned, and rightfully so. With that being said, I don't want to entertain an offer. I don't really have to, because somebody has to listen to the taxpayers who don't want to entertain an offer, especially from people using our tax dollars to buy something they already paid for. So I'll represent those ones, I guess, because somebody has to.
Thank you. Autumn? Ken? Engel? Nothing to say, okay. Okay, I guess a few comments I'll make, based on what some of our citizens said, and my fellow board members, but this is board discussion on what we're gonna do this evening. I agree with all my board members to a certain extent. Carrie brings up a good point. We start gaining interest right away on the $40 million. And it's basically the same offer, except it's not done in partial payments. They were going to give us partial payments, if everybody recalls, based on milestones. And I think we kind of reversed some of that, but it was a very tricky agreement that they had done, that secret agreement, and that they were going to present to the board. And we would have lost money. And my whole concern was that we had it tied to building a new school. So it was almost like a twofer. There was all this backroom deal going on. So I don't know if that was the proper way to do it. We should have just did what we're doing now. Do we accept a $40 million offer or don't we? And then we set up committees just about purchasing land, building a school. Do we add additions to the school? I was looking at the sketches the other day of the new school they were going to build us. It wasn't brick. There was some block in there. It wasn't brick. It didn't have a tornado shelter. Them dum-dums didn't even put a cafeteria in there. And if everybody recalls, my biggest thing is putting a cafeteria. If we're going to, and I had the idea several months ago, I was just using options, that if we did take some money, we might just want to renovate the current schools we have, put cafeterias in, put a media center in, a little bit higher tech, more bathrooms for the teachers and children, and upgrade everything. Because they are brick buildings, and I believe all of our elementaries have tornado shelters, if I'm not mistaken. Not that we have a lot of tornadoes, but you only have to have one. It's not predictable. Two, and Jenny brings up a great point, and some of our residents did, and that's my problem, is that we actually have 8 subdivisions within a quarter mile of the border. So everybody's talking about safety. That's common sense. The kids go to school, and then they go back to Linden Village. I don't remember what the subdivision is just far down the road from Linden on Maple. You have 3 huge manufacturing housing there, the 3, I won't mention them, but everybody knows, I've lived here my whole life, the 3 mobile home parks. You have Lynn Hill, you have Windermere, you have the back of Windermere, you have, I'm getting old, Coventry Farms, you have Florida Village, Lindenwood Farms is huge, and then the backside of Dye Road. Did I miss any? I mean, that's all within, so even if we move a school 2 miles from there, we're still gonna be, if you guys want to call it a bomb area, or an area, I mean, that's where everybody says, is this thing gonna blow up? I don't think that's gonna happen, but whatever may happen, we can't move far enough away from it. So everybody's using the comment that, oh my God, it's the kids are gonna all die. Well, they're gonna go back to those 7 major subdivisions that are all on the border of that. So that's really not an argument that I see. The comparison of prices, I agree with Andrea. Really, schools aren't worth a lot. They really aren't. But on the other hand, you could own an acre in the middle of Shiawassee County and have an acre down in Fenton Township off of Owen Road. They're both 1 acre. One's worth 10 grand, one's worth $2 or $3 million. We do have a hand in that price because we do have prime property. And maybe they do build around us, but then where do we build, or do we build on the 10 acres? I originally pushed our former administration to buy that 10 acres because, and the board was in agreement. We went to closed session. You can do that on purchase. We were going to build some more ball fields there, practice fields, AYSO, things like that for the children. And that is an option, that if we do sell the school, we could move, probably to Elms would be the closest, put on 12 or 14 classrooms, which would cover Morrish. Cafeteria, we have the property there to do it. We'd still be close to the mega bomb site, whatever you guys want to call it. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. And if it did, goodbye to those 7 subdivisions. So I don't think we could move far enough. Building code, I think we should check into that. Do we have enough time to even move? That's a problem. Somebody mentioned it. I think Kim did. To give us a week to make a decision and to be out in 2 years is kind of pushing it. The board should consider that no matter what we do. To say you have to move out by this date and get rid of your kids out of that building, I think is a tall order for us if we were to agree to it. Even if they gave us $60 million. If they say, hey, we're going to give you, instead of 40, 60 million, I don't know if we could do that in time. And then somebody could say, well, we had that opportunity last year. We would have had that opportunity if everybody was forthwith and we were in line with what was going on from June of the following year. We didn't really find out things in May of 25 when things were going on in June 24 where the full board could have been apprised. So we kind of had a checklist. And I don't believe that was done the way it should be. We have to worry about, if we're going to build a big, beautiful school, our enrollment's going down. So why are we going to do all this if our enrollment's going down? That's something that this board has to consider. We have to look at the statistical data. Ken actually brought up Ken Engel a lot. He researched it, and our population's going down, and the way they were making up for it was bringing in school of choice children, which I agree, we should have limited school of choice, but we can't base our entire district on school of choice and build a school for somebody that doesn't even live in the district. That's absolutely ridiculous, and that's in the emails that I FOIA'd, that I finally found out that's why the new Morrish Elementary was going to be so huge to accommodate school of choice kids, which I'm okay with school of choice, but you don't build a school in your district to accommodate somebody that's 20 miles away. That's silliness. We don't build an extra 3 rooms in our house because our kids come once a year to visit with us, and they crowd you. So I think that's something that this board has to consider and have that data to make sure we do that. I had some other things. That was just some of the things based on what I heard. I'm not saying $40 million is nothing to sneeze at. Some people said it. I don't disagree with the public and my fellow board members. $40 million is a lot for a 60-year-old school. And that's a huge consideration. We're in a tough spot. But I'm more inclined now because of the time frame, having some more statistical data. When they had the semi thing they were doing last year, they had some property proposed. And I was a little miffed by that. And I'm going back, but this was the deal. We sold that property for $250,000 12 years ago. I didn't, somebody else did. And then we're buying it back for $1.8 million, but $1 million of it was going to be our cost, and the builder was going to put a subdivision on 60 to 70 acres, and we were only going to get 30 acres of the deal. So we're buying property so a builder can build property in it. I would never spend a tax dollars for that. And if you think I'm going to do that, or you think we should do that, then you need to run for election, because I'm not voting to use taxpayers' money to buy a subdivision next to the new school proposed so they can build a house there, and we only get 25 or 30 acres of the 12 acres. That's absolutely ridiculous. So some people don't know all the facts of behind-the-scenes stuff. So that was part of it there. So the bottom line is I'm going to get off my soapbox here. I don't think we we can sell it right now, even if you gave us 60 million and gave us 2 years to get out, because we have to have some accurate numbers for either additions, and that's what we did in the committee. We have to have accurate numbers for a number of children coming or going from our district, because if we build another school, how do we know if it's even going to be full? So we're going to take 50, 60 million and put it over here and build it, and half the kids aren't even here. I guess we could consolidate schools. I like that idea, but people move in neighborhoods around elementary schools so their kids are close. I lived in Swartz Creek my whole life, basically. Since I was 18, I lived in Flushing for the other 18 years. I moved on Miller Road because my kids could walk to Cyrene together. And the middle school and the high school were all close by. So that might be a little too Americana or traditional stuff, but I guess I'm still into that. So I don't really know what the board wants to do, but I think that at this point, it's not about the money or who's happy or who's not happy. The bottom line is we got to look out for the students at the end, and moving students and doing all this stuff, although we did the K-5, but that was based on grades. That's why we pushed that. If you look at our grades, somebody mentioned it out here, our grades are below average. So I think that we should probably, at this point, we'll have a vote, and then we'll decide what you guys do, but I'm kind of leaning, not so much because of the money, but other factors, population, movement, where are we going to go? Are we going to put a hamper on our other schools? And then I think that we better at least implement that, whether we put it, if we vote for it yes or vote for it no, we better get on that part just so we're ready and talk to, and go through Ken, and go through maybe our builders, French and Auk, or whoever you guys decide, and get some basic studies to see if we can renovate some schools. Because just building a school 2 miles down the road is not solving anything, I don't think. And Elms is actually closer to those subdivisions, as Andrea brought up, than Moorish and Hill. If you think about it, if you look at, as a crow flies, if we built an addition on Elms Road, most of those subdivisions are closer anyways to there. So if we were going to do something extravagant, that is definitely an option. So, yes. Go back. Well, everybody will have a second time. We're going pretty good, so go ahead, Jenny.
I was going to say, can we give Mr. Janzrak an opportunity to, do you have any comment? Okay, I just want to make sure.
He's really got his toes in the water.
I want to make sure that, if you have anything to say about this, anything you want to add, that you have an opportunity.
That's a great idea. What we need to direct Ken to do is to probably get these numbers as a board and get some numbers on because the numbers are always fluctuating, all the children in our current elementaries, the radius on where they're at, which should be close by, what our student count is anticipated. They have good data at central office that kind of has that scoped out, so we know where our data's at, where our numbers are at. Informally talked to French or Auk, but we did that last year when we formed those 3 subcommittees, and she pretty much said it's going to be $450 to $500 a square foot for a commercial building. Of that type. It may be up now, but at the end of the day, if we didn't meet the milestones with the last deal, we didn't get some of our money. So that's, we can always negotiate. So hold on. So we got some numbers. So I think we should have 4 or 5 numbers, probably tell them no currently because they put us on such a time crunch. Let them either make another offer or not give us an offer. And maybe a manufacturer will come in and give us 60 or 70 million. But as Ms. Fick said, we roll the dice. We don't know that. That's not an absolute. But I'm hearing from the people here that they really, there's a couple for it, but I think that we have to look at all the options, and I think that's best for us. And I don't think anybody in this boardroom, including the audience, would make a decision in 2 weeks. And if they said, here's X amount of dollars for your house, move out. I don't think any of you do unless it was like a filthy amount of money, and that might be considered a filthy amount of money, but it's not if we have to build a new school. In fact, we may be back asking for millages. I'd love to get $110 million, build this school and reimburse you $100 million in millage money. Your taxes all go down $300-400 a year. How's that sound?
I like it.
That's, I can't talk to you, but I'm just saying to my board, because if we got a filthy amount of money, we could wipe out our millage debt. We'd be the first district in the country to do that. Yeah, pay it back early and give the taxpayers a break. and have money left over to do our additions. So if Tyler Wynn's listening, they know the amount. So, that's it. Go ahead, Jenny. Okay, back to Carrie or Andrew. You guys started, I believe.
If you wanted to, if you had any.
We're going to give him that at the end, the direction to get those numbers.
If he, well, because obviously, you know, it affects the superintendent's job, whether he has 5 elementaries or 4, and where that 4th building is, and things like that. So that's all the input. Obviously, you know, we're not going to put on you to try to make this decision, but if you had relevant facts that you wanted us to take into consideration, I just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to share that with us now while we're discussing it. So that was my reason. I wasn't trying to call you out. I was just trying to give you a chance.
Did we get to keep those sketches that she did for us last year when she brought us the additions for the 4 buildings?
That's a great question.
And,
I asked her to do those with
Yep.
board approval.
but,
I asked her to do those because I thought that was an option, and she actually agreed. She said that's not a bad option. I don't think she had detailed stuff that they had from before for a brand-new building. And she gave us a quote of $450 to $500 a square foot, and she put together some numbers very quickly. You guys can correct me if I'm not wrong. And she said it would be about, from memory, $8 to $10 million per building, and that's adding a cafeteria. Yeah, because that would have burned up $40 million to 4 elementaries.
it was,
Yeah,
I believe
so-
it was 7, because it was.
7? Was it less? Okay.
It wasn't, it was 22 for Elms, I remember that, and I believe the other ones were 7 per building, which
So
we
would
can't
that
do
come up
every
to
building.
21, 22, so we're still at 43 million, end of the
But we
road.
didn't need to do all of that. It was either an addition at 4 buildings or Elms.
Not true. We were gonna add a cafeteria, a media center, extra bathrooms, extra teacher lounges, and the media center was gonna be a dry book and a computer system type thing, so they had double media centers. We were gonna put a cafeteria in, so the kids don't have to eat food and where their dirty tennis shoes are at, which is ridiculous, still, in this day. And the reason why Elms Road was more, my memory's coming back to me, I'm old. The reason why Elms was more money is because we were gonna add a full wing there and add 12 to 15 classrooms there, and the other buildings were only gonna have 2 to 4 classrooms. I'm going from memory, but they were all gonna get cafeterias. I think Gaines already has a cafeteria.
They have
I'm
a
not
full
mistaken,
gym and a
yeah.
full cafeteria.
So we were gonna add the cafeterias, the media centers, the bathrooms, the teacher lounges, and added an extra large wing at Elms because we figured that's where most of the kids would end up schooling at.
Well, with Elms, it was copying Elms. It was taking Elms and flipping it over.
Well-
It was the entire building of Elms.
Technically, she said it was Moorish. She took Moorish's footprint and just stuck it, like pasted over next to Elms. So, because I went back through, so I watched the YouTube video, and I did ask them, I was asking around if anybody had the presentation that she had shared, and she did email that, and we can get that to everybody. But if you watch the YouTube video, it's, you know, just
You got
just
some
as good.
schematics there.
Yeah, it's just as good. So basically, what she presented in the October 22nd meeting of last year was, it would be for all the buildings to add 6 classrooms, so 2 kindergarten levels classrooms, which only need to hold about 20 students, 4 older kids classrooms that need to be able to hold about 25 students, a teacher or staff lounge, a gym that would be about 40 feet by 60 feet, and 2 restrooms with 2 stalls each. It would be an additional 15,400 square feet, and this is adding on to each of the buildings. This is if we did that option. And the price at that time would be $450 to $500 per square foot. So doing the math, each building would be somewhere between 6.9 and 7.7 million. You'd multiply that by 4, you're looking at somewhere between 27.7 and 30.8 million, and that would be to put those additions on every school. Obviously, it would vary. We wouldn't necessarily have room at Siring. We might not want to do that at Siring. We want to do different stuff. Anyway, that was the basic rough thing that she proposed. She also did the, picking up Moorish and cutting and pasting it over next to Elms. That was a 40,000 square foot building, and she said it would be definitely closer to the 500 per square foot range, probably more than that, which would put you at about 20 million.
So that burned
So
up our
those were
40
the
million.
notes from.
No,
from
because
her.
you're saying 4 additions and that. You're not doing 4 additions and that.
either,
No, I'm
yeah.
saying to Chuck, though. You're doing either or. You're either doing the addition at Elms or 4 additions at roughly $8 million. neither of those options equal 40 million. If you did the addition at Elms, you wouldn't need anything else. But you could downsize that a little bit and do something different. There's no room at Cyrene.
Yeah,
You know that.
the additions for 4 of them at the top end would be about 30, and then you figure prices are gonna go up. So you would probably be close to 40 if we did.
I'm just saying, but it's not both. It's not, and I think that's where the confusion was last time with everyone's like, we need more than 40, is you were taking the price of 4 additions and the price of the addition at Elm separately and thinking we needed.
No, I don't think, I thought that
$50 million.
the Elms Road addition was around 21 to 22 million.
Right.
And the other additions, I said 8, but she's got the exact numbers there, about 7 million, so 3 times 7 is 21, because we weren't gonna do anything at Gaines for an addition. 3 times 7 is 21, and 22 comes out to 43
But
million.
you don't do both. That's the point.
No, I'm not adding 4 sevens, I'm adding 3 sevens.
I'm not saying-
Deke, Cyrene.
You're either
and-
doing 4, your price now is 4 additions, or the whole thing at Elms. If you did the whole thing at Elms, you don't need, if you're footprinting more at Elms, you don't need any other additions.
Right.
Right?
No, no, we were gonna put the cafeterias in still, we were gonna put in the extra lounge, the media center, and I'm calling it cafeteria, she said you're gonna make the current gym the cafeteria, remodel that, and then put the gym on at the other end. So, no, that was all included in
Then you're
there.
just doing 4 at 8 million.
No, he's saying that even if we did a second building next to Elms, that he still wants to improve the remaining elementaries.
Okay. I'm just saying
To bring them up,
account for more, so.
so there's equity between all the buildings.
Yeah,
All the
I wanted
buildings have
everybody to have a
and gym.
cafeteria and media
Everybody
center and
has
bathroom.
media center, everybody has he's saying that we would not just do either, or we wouldn't do the same scale of additions if we did a whole new building, but some additions.
Well, regardless, we'll get back on point. That's something we can talk about in the future, and we can work out those details. First of all, I think what we have to do is either accept or deny the offer flat out. That's a simple thing that we have to address now, and if we want to add on to it, we can talk about setting up a committee and get more into the nuts and bolts of what's being done if we want to remodel schools or if we want to build a new school.
A couple more.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
A couple more things I'm gonna throw out. There is one more subdivision coming.
Yeah, there is. It's at Maple and Elms.
Maple and, it's on the north side of Maple Road
Yeah.
between Elms and Linden.
Yeah, it's actually between I think it's between Dye Road, I saw it already, I sent
It's between
schematics.
Dye and Elms.
Yeah, it's 650 houses.
No.
How many? 250 at first.
Maybe 250-ish.
No, it's 650 units, but they're splitting it. It's 250 houses, let's be truthful, so the public knows. It's houses, it's condos, and it's apartments, and there's gonna be between 600 and 650 units total.
Okay, I've got the news clip right here. I'll forward it out to everyone tomorrow. It was not 600. It was, I know, the one number that I remembered was 99 residential homes for sale. Then there were going to be townhouse rentals and single-family home rentals.
Townhouse rentals, right?
Townhouse rentals, single-family home rentals.
And
Alan
they-
Edwin is
and-
the developer that was at the meeting at Flint Township. I'll forward it out and you guys can all see
No,
it.
I know, I talked to him
But I
all the time.
believe it was like 259, I don't remember the exact number,
And
but it
they
wasn't
left an
650.
extension to extend out as time goes in the next few years, because we are short housing.
Right.
Apartments, we are short everything in Swartz Creek. We
So
are
maybe
short everything.
more.
You can't even, you're a realtor, you know if a house goes up in Swartz Creek, it's gone within, if it's a decent house, it's gone.
I presented 10 offers today on a house that wasn't decent, so.
Yeah, yeah, they're fighting over it. So that's why, from what regardless, we'll say 259 to 600 when it's all
Whatever,
said.
another subdivision is coming, that's all I was saying.
Right.
I mean, another option.
And they're gonna be right next to the mega site. They're gonna be right on the
Right
border of the
across
mega
the
site.
street.
Yeah.
The other thing is, we've been talking about it, beating the dead horse down, is we could really limit school of choice and not have to add a lot of extra space for students.
Well,
That's an option as well, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we don't have room to house our own kids, we could limit school of choice altogether and just use the 4 buildings we have.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Well, we've started limiting.
I know.
We started, this was the first, I've been on the board for 8 years. I've been a proponent of limiting it or figuring out what's going to do, because it's getting lopsided where there's more kids coming in than there is here, which doesn't make sense. It's no longer a community school. It becomes a municipal school. Say it however you want. It's just the way it is. It's a Swartz Creek Community Schools, not Swartz Creek Municipal Schools. Everybody takes school of choice though. And I've been convinced by other people in the public, people I've talked to said, Chuck, limited school of choice is good. And you know what? I've been on that and I'm like, okay, we'll have limited school of choice. And my understanding is, I don't know 100% the law, I don't understand it on that, But once we take a kid, I believe we have 750 to 800 currently. Is that true, roughly? No, it's okay. The last number I looked at was 750, 800. You're obligated to those children that once they join school of choice, they're our children unless they leave or they graduate. So we at least have to plan for that. So that's why I think we should just eat this in little pieces of pie here. Vote on the sale of the school or not, and then set up some committees to look at numbers so we can make an educated decision. Half the public said, I don't envy you because it's not a snap decision. It wasn't a snap decision then. It's not a snap decision now. And if they don't like it because they gave us 2 weeks, I think we need at least a month or two. Jenny, everybody's brought, we got to have the numbers to see where we're at, because I don't want to shortchange us, and I don't want to overchange us. I mean, I want to overcharge us. I get as much as I can if we have to sell it, if we have to, but at the end of the day, more comment on, let's go with the sale. What are we going to do about that?
I just have a quick comment.
Go, Kim.
I feel like some people are saying, hey, you're getting $40 million to build a new school. We all paid for that. They took that money from all of us. We paid for it. It's not free. It's not like they're just giving us $40 million. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody that doesn't know.
That's a great question. That's a great comment. I don't have one answer, and I see our financial director here. I hate to put you on the spot, Jamie. Could you just step up just for a quick second with the board's approval? Is that okay? It's just a question about bonds. It's not a trick question, how many craters are on the dark side of the moon or anything, okay? So we have a bond. We have two bonds. Actually, the original $49 million bond and the 38.5, whatever it is. So we have two bonds out. That money, and I don't know how the law works, you'll probably be able to enlighten us all. That money that we used for Moorish, if we were to sell Moorish, hypothetically, for $40 million, and we owe bond money on it, $5 million, $6 million, $7 million, that's like having a loan still on your old house. You got to pay off the old loan. Are we obligated by the state of Michigan to pay that loan off?
Yes.
Okay, so did you hear that, board? That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
The portion, there's a calculation that our municipal finance does for us. Sorry, I had laryngitis. I'm just getting my voice
No,
back.
I'm sorry to even put you on the spot.
I was just revisiting that. The calculation would have to be redone, but I think it was about just north of 2 million, 2.5, something like that. Sounds familiar when we talked about this last time the offer was presented.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need, so there's no trick questions. So we have a $3 million outstanding bill, roughly, we'll say it.
So is that's going down, or could that be going up because we had the new bond?
Well, it's predicated on the balance of the bond outstanding and the amount of the bond that was placed into Moorish.
Yes.
Okay.
So at this point, we have put very little, if any, into Moorish that wouldn't be movable. Like I said, we have furniture planned to arrive.
Yep.
That's movable. That would not be calculated. But, brick and mortar, that's lost. So I would expect the calculation to go down.
Okay. That's all I was.
Thank you.
I had to think about it.
Thank you, Jamie. So out of that 40 million, okay, we'll take a $500,000 off for furniture, so we're at 2.25 million that we're off that 40 million, correct? Does that kind of math sound right? Now we're down to 38 million, 37.5 million. So that's a consideration when you're going to build something. No? Yes? Maybe? I don't know.
Now we're down to 37 million.
It's like if you sell a car, you don't get the whole 15 grand. You pay off your loan, then you put the rest of your equity into the car or house or whatever it may be. So I just wanted to clear that up because I don't think we discussed that.
We did. She mentioned that the last time, last summer, she got up to the podium and said the same number.
Okay, so that'll eat up our interest. So if we take 40 million and get $1 million or $2 million in interest, we're going to have to pay it back anyways to the state. So we're back down to where we're at. These are I'm just saying they're considerations that the board should take into consideration. What are we going to do? So I say that we vote yes or no, and you guys, do it unless you don't want to do it.
Yes or no to take this offer or to move forward with an offer? Because I don't
think there's any,
you from the lawyer?
Tell them yes or no.
Well, do you want a motion?
Don't you want the lawyer to are we waiting for a red line copy back from the
But the
lawyer?
problem is, we have to, I guess we could let it expire, right? We don't, because he put an expiration date on it of, I believe, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Thursday at
I
6.
read it in here, and I think it said Thursday. So it's 2 days from now. We could ignore it and not give a, we could do a counteroffer, we could say no, or we could let it die. But we
can-
should do something.
We
We're
could
here on a
counter
special
an
meeting.
extension. We could say, you know, we want to consider this. Give us 30 more days to consider the offer or not.
If you make the motion and somebody supports it, I mean, it'll either vote yeah or nay. It's up to you guys.
Well, I would make a motion to reject the offer as presented, or the
There's a
offer
motion
as
on the
is.
floor. To reject it as presented.
I'll second that.
And seconded by Jenny Walgas. So there's a motion on the floor by Autumn Henry to reject the offer as presented. It's been seconded by Jenny. I want good dialogue and discussion on it. I'll open the floor. Who wants to go? No discussion on it. Okay. Sue, roll call vote.
Jenny Walgast.
So yes is to reject the offer, just making sure everybody knows that, yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Ken Engel.
Yes.
Autumn Henry.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Harry Germain.
No.
Andrea Fick.
No.
Okay, motion passes. This current offer has been rejected, which meets our timeline, and like I said, okay. So any further, I'm gonna see how I'm gonna word this right. I don't know if I should leave it for tomorrow's meeting because it's not on the agenda. Any suggestion from the board, what you guys would like to do about asking Mr. Ken to do some numbers for us?
Well, if you're rejecting the offer, you're rejecting the offer.
Right, but
But if they bring another offer, we'll be back in the same position.
Yeah, this is.
Andrea, well, I'm just saying, if they come back and say, we offer you 41 million, and we owe 3 million on our loan, and we do a study where it's gonna cost whatever money for additions, a building, which we have some of the information already that they did last year.
Because that worked so well for us last time when we said no. I'm just saying, they don't
They
have,
kinda
they
wasted
don't
our
not,
time
they
with
do
the
not have to
same
bring
thing.
us an offer.
We don't have to bring anything then. If you guys
No,
want to
well, here's
discuss,
the
say
thing,
no,
but
that's fine.
they clearly have an
Yeah.
interest in purchasing this property.
I think
So
it'd
this
be
is
remiss us not to
yeah,
at least
this is
find
not
out.
an issue that's just going to disappear. Just because we voted to reject this offer, this is not a dead issue. We
I think
still
you brought
need
us
to
an
be.
offer to save face one more time, give us one more chance.
But, so, in any case, the chances that we're never going to see an offer again, I don't believe are very high. So I don't think it's unreasonable
If-
to be prepared. I can't talk.
You're, no, Jenny, you're right, because if they're, even if they hear about this, they watch this, they go on YouTube tonight, I don't think anybody in this audience would say, oh yeah, let's just take the offer right now, somebody's flashing some money on you. I don't think anybody in the audience, if somebody came up and gave them more than what their house was worth, would just jump on it without saying, let me think about this for a minute. And we haven't really discussed it lately.
But
Well, and
we
the
could
other-
have agreed to discuss it further. Instead, we just rejected it, instead of,
We can, if you want to make a motion that we reapproach them, if we want to get numbers and have Ken do it, you guys tell me what you want to do. I'm not running the show, I'm the president. I'm asking you what you want to do. It's your time.
Okay.
Ken's time, Andrea's time, Carrie's time, Jenny's time.
So
Yeah.
they could potentially, so for all we know, because, you know, they have agreements that they make with whoever they're working with, they could have a potential buyer that they're working with right now. They could even be in the final stages of negotiating an offer with somebody to buy it at this point. So clearly, if they came to us again, they have an interest in possibly doing something. So I don't think it is a waste of time for us to refresh the numbers that we received, like the square footage, the estimate on how much it would cost per square foot to either do the additions or put in a new building by Elms, including, because we had a site survey done so that we could potentially look at doing those ball fields for the bond work, so we have more information about the property that's right by Elms, including the fact that there's wetlands and stuff. So us doing our due diligence, refreshing those square footage numbers, getting a better idea of where we could put something near Elms Elementary, what kind of wetland remediation it would require, what it would cost. I don't think that would be wasted effort going through those things just because we rejected this offer. This is not going away. All that land has been purchased, somebody owns it, they're gonna do something with it. So us being prepared so that if we got another offer like this with a 2-week, consideration window so we could be closer to acting on it instead of having to reject it, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I would just, how many of our projects have gone over budget too? Because you need to take that into consideration. I know that the PAC is way over, the baseball field, way over. Like, we go millions of dollars over
Yep,
projects.
This is here.
So, let's take that into
Oh, hold on,
consideration
ma'am,
too.
please, yep, we can't
Well,
talk,
plus the
no,
fact that it
no
takes,
comments from the floor.
that it takes 3 years to build it, and we already know, if you look even from a year ago today to today, how
Yeah.
much prices have increased. We have no idea what anything's gonna look like in 3 years, so.
For sure. It's, whatever it is, gotta stay on, yeah.
So I don't know if we need a motion, but I would definitely say, I think we need to
Yes,
continue,
I think we need
refresh.
to give our
Okay.
superintendent some guidance on where to go. And here's the big point that nobody's catching, or maybe they are. Look at all the board memos that everybody was so well informed of last year. And guess who did the study on the costs? Of course, they did. So you got the buyer telling us that he's gonna sell us a building and this is what it's gonna cost us. I think it'd be pretty prudent, this board, to hire somebody to see exactly what it's gonna cost. And it's like somebody coming to me and saying, I'm buying your house for $500,000, Melky, and you're gonna buy this house down the road for $500,000 and I'll guarantee it. Well, how do you know it's gonna cost $500,000? Because I said so. Do you trust that person? That's what they did last year. They had the buyer build out our school and give us the price, and that's how they agreed on the $40 million. There's not a person out there that would do that or on this board. Please, no comments from the floor. This is board discussion. So with that being said,
So
I
how-
want us to get
Yeah.
a price.
So how serious do you want to take this? Do we want to do a survey among, administrators, staff, about what the
No.
requirements would
No.
be on
No.
a new build? Okay.
Yeah, can't-
Or do we just say?
This is our job to do a school. Jenny, it's gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
bogged down.
Well, no. So that's what I'm saying. So right now, we haven't sold Moorish. So at this point, we can either get another estimate like we had October 22nd of last year, where they're like, if we cut Moorish, pasted it next to Elms, this is how much it would cost. Do we just want to have them refresh those numbers? Do we want to try to get a better estimate? Do we want to start figuring out if we were to put a new building in, what exactly it would look like? So that when they run those numbers and estimates, we have a better, closer, obviously things are going to change because of timing, but at least a better idea of what they're pricing out? Or do we not want to put that much effort into it at this point? That's what I'm trying to get the.
That's a great question. Maybe we should send that to the building committee, and whoever wants to show up to the building committee can discuss it there and bring it back to the next board meeting to give Ken more accurate discussion instead of keeping this going on.
Yeah, I like that.
Because there's going to be 100 ideas up here. Do we want bathrooms? Do we want cafeterias? Do we want this? And I'm not saying we're doing any of that, but if, like some of you said, if they come back with a $50 million offer of 42.5, then we at least know what we can get and what we cannot get. So it'd be prudent on us to be prepared
I don't think that would do that, yeah.
on behalf of this district.
So then we're not going to take action tonight, we're just going to move this to the building committee to discuss next steps?
Unless there's.
Okay,
yeah.
no, I just want to make sure I'm
Is that
understanding.
okay?
That works
I
for
mean,
me, I'm just clarifying.
We'll get a consensus. What do you guys want? I mean, everybody's welcome to come to the building committee.
I like that.
Oh, real quick, maybe not real quick. I saved my comment for after we had done voting for the simple fact that you're right, Chuck. The people that were going to do the buying and selling were the people that also sat and told us what something was worth. The other comment on it, though, is for 18 months, people sat back and they decided to buy a 60,000, or build a 65,000 square foot building instead of a 45 that currently exists. They did all that in 18 months. We had a gentleman walk in here 30 days ago, for the sake of argument, give us an ultimatum to make a decision give us a 2-year lease, which you know you're not gonna build a new school building from scratch, because no one appeared to like the last one. So you were gonna be starting from scratch. You weren't gonna build that in 2 years. So you were gonna either displace or possibly pay an ungodly amount of money to stay in the current building, or get thrown out and have rental trailers all over Swartz Creek. That was your 30-day option. And no one even brought that up, to the degree that you got held hostage. And there were some things that are changed in that deal that I think were very, very, very remarkable and beneficial to the district, to get your money up front and not have to wait. But they took a year off your lease. Originally, we were gonna be there 3 years instead of 2. We can't sell that building. It's not a matter of should we or shouldn't we. We can't. What are you gonna do? Here's something that really truly bothers me. The school district, and God love everybody that votes. You have approved, citizens have approved bond after bond and millage renewal. In my opinion, after I went and walked and looked at our pool the other day, this district, this board, and I do mean the current people sitting here to a degree, but the past 10 years, and I'm including myself in that because I was sitting here in 2018 when the original bond went through and we were still toying with the millage that sits over there known as the PAC. We've squandered the public's money. You're gonna get told here eventually that pool ain't gonna make it. So then I guarantee you, come November, if we got a new board sitting up here, or the same people, you're gonna get asked to do another bond. Oh, we don't have a pool. That's gonna be the next thing that this school district is gonna come running at you with. Just remember, you heard it here first, or they won't have a pool. We are wasting your money. And all we were doing tonight was, no, $40 million is great. No school is worth $40 million. The day after you build the new one for $40 million, it's no longer worth $40 million. But we don't have a place for those kids at the end of 2 years. You don't know where you want to build a school. You don't know if you have the property for the school. You don't know who you want to have build the school. You haven't picked an architect yet to draft it. You're not going to do that in 2 years. So tell me where you're going to put the portable trailers at when you have to displace those children. Then that'll be the next thing, that we'll have a different group of people sitting out there ripping us to pieces or ripping someone to pieces. My little boy and girl have to sit in a trailer. Let's try to get it together, because we have not had it together for at least a decade. And I took a tour of that pool the other day. That pool has been neglected for 2 or 3 decades. And nobody knows it, nobody's talked about it. When we've done our studies back in 2017 to do the bond, that pool should have been on the radar. We're illegally dumping water in a creek, and we had to get our hands smacked for that. I mean, this is borderline an embarrassment. And what we were going to do here tonight was just going to be another embarrassment, because we were going to go over budget. Everything we built, Autumn's right about that, went over budget. I mean, we just sat here and debated the other day about 3 baseball fields over at Elms that we don't need. We're literally going to spend, there was over $1 million to be spent on the 3 baseball diamonds. To do nothing for the kids. We already have 2 baseball diamonds over there. And luckily, it's going to be built on wetland, so you couldn't do it. You know? The wetland had the brains to say no. It wasn't none of the humans. It just, you know, it's easy to spend money when it's not your money. And bond after bond, millage after millage, We keep spending your money, my money. So God love the voters that want to pass these things, but this school district needs to be way more fiscally responsible. You know, we have a good fund balance right now, but Jenny explained that the other day. I watched it on the TV. We're still living off that little COVID money, and it's going to start dwindling down now. It's going to dwindle down, and that fund balance is going to start sinking. But I feel for you, and I don't think, that's why I sat here and I shut my mouth, because I didn't want any of the voting to be swayed on that. But none of that was a good idea, except the $40 million check. And I've made it clear, you get the number right, I'll sell Morris in a minute. It doesn't matter. Everything we own's for sale. Everybody's house is for sale, everybody's car out in that parking lot's for sale. If someone offers you enough money, you're either an idiot or you take it. So to think that Morris isn't for sale, you're wrong. It's for sale. Everything's for sale. But under the present circumstances, no.
So we're going to discuss this at the building committee about options for additions or the potential of additions, getting some prices that are realistic in case another offer is sent to us. And I think we'll be at least heading the right direction. I'll make a call tomorrow and tell Mr. Cooper that his offer was rejected. And I guess we'll go from there. And I agree wholeheartedly with Ken. That's why I voted no on both bonds. Because we had people that did the studies, and when I asked questions about them, specifically the pool, we weren't really given answers, but that's off subject. Because right after we passed the second bond, our person that did the study, the boiler went out at the tune of $25,000, $30,000. And I questioned how the heck did a study be done and they didn't catch a boiler that went out 4 weeks after that. And they said, oh, it's all rusted out, so I don't know that. So that being said, are we good? And then we'll go into we'll go into public comment once again. You have 3 minutes, and you're more than welcome to come up. Please state your name and
Michelle
Travis, you got
Grozier.
the 3 minutes?
Michelle
Okay, thank you.
Grozier again. Lived in Mundy Township until I got married, and then I stayed in Swartz Creek, about a little over a mile away from the property. My mother's house was demolished, laid flat a few months ago. We didn't sell it. She passed away in '23, and the person who bought it, I would have never given in to my state like that, the way they've handled this. The secrecy that started in Mundy Township that was encouraged by the MEDC and the FGEA and all of those gross people. I'm sorry, we shouldn't give in to them. And I want to remind you, you guys seem so confused sometimes. You're confusing. This is our money. I don't care if they offer, Ken, I don't care if they offer $5 million or $500 billion to you. It's our taxpayer money. It's our money. They are not offering you the money. Let's get this straight, please. It's our money. We don't want to pay for our money. We already paid for this school. Okay? Please remember that. And please remember that you guys have mentioned listening to us out here. Are you listening to us out there? Because then you continue to entertain ideas that make me wonder if you're really listening. Most of us have said no thank you. Please listen, and I feel for you, and I'd hate to be in your position, but it's our money. I don't care how much it is. It's our money, and we don't want to pay for another school. And we need to put a lot of more focus on educating these kids than we do a brand new building. That's been made very clear. Thank you, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
The Michelles are talking a lot tonight, apparently. I'm Michelle Clark. I would just like to recommend that before you get plans made up for possible additions to elementary schools, that there might be a community survey as far as what the community values. Personally, I've never gone to an elementary school that had a cafeteria and a gymnasium. It's always been double dipped. Elementary schools I went to growing up had no tornado shelters. So before we start talking about these things that are important to some people but may not be on the high hit list of the community, I can see a media center upping technology and that kind of thing, but just getting a feel for what the community as a whole, since everybody keeps talking about it being our money, finding out what the community values if you're doing something. I liked what Andrea said, where I could see if Moorish was to be sold, the first issue is taking care of those children at Moorish so they have a home to go to. So whether you flip the school or whatever you do and wherever you put them, I don't know that you necessarily have to do the Moorish wherever and necessarily at the same time update and do things if the schools are whole. You got to look at equity and that kind of thing, but if you can get the Moorish students to have a home base, you don't necessarily have to mess with the buildings, especially since you're not going to be able to really change siring at all. There's just not a footprint there to add on, so then you're looking at equity anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again, I guess it's a night of coming up twice. Lex Alden. Again, I have a child in elementary school. I am not trying to, I don't know most of these people. I don't know if very many people actually have elementary school aged children here. We're talking about the past. The children, the elementary children, those that are coming in, they're who we need to be talking about. They are who matters. That's what's important. I have 9 years left with my children in the district. Nine more years. We're gonna be here a while. I would love to see things improve. The world is changing. Technology is a thing. Stuff all the time, all the time. We need to look towards that. We need to look towards what the students are going to need in the future to be successful adults. Ultimately, that's where it's going to go. With it being said that I'm probably one of the only one in the room who has an elementary student, please make these meetings later. I'm not speaking for every elementary school parent, nope, not me. But I'm sad that most people are having to log in from home and watch it remote. I know I do quite often. Because it's frustrating. Man, it's frustrating to sit here and watch you guys, even to do it from home. And a lot of that is your lack of organization. So here we are talking about a bid, talking about like, oh no, we're not gonna do it. Oh, but what about if we did this? What about that? It's like when you voted on the K through 5. You wanted to do that really quick with no plan, none of that, said, boom, make it happen. Think ahead, please. Please think ahead. Think ahead, think of the future, our students and this district. Think of the legacy you want to leave behind on this board. Do you want to be known as someone who thought about the kids later after you're gone? Or only worried about yourself? Because that's a lot of what we hear. Please think things through, make better plans, push these meetings later. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. It was very apparent by a 5-2 vote which way the board voted. I see you did it for the right reasons, and I thank you for that. But I think what everybody needs to realize is They have asked for a 50-year tax abatement on this property. They also have asked to be completely exclusive and not have to pay any school tax on that 2 square mile radius. If you didn't know that, you should know. That was public information. So when you think you're going to collect all these big tax dollars from this company that's going to come in, because they're just the lifesaver, they're not. Us, we, the taxpayers, the people that have to live around the area, we're the ones that's going to be forking your bill. Remember that.
Ma'am, did you say 50 years? I just got a point of clarification. I couldn't hear that.
50.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rhonda Stowers. I'm listening to the comments, and I too appreciate your vote tonight. I know that wasn't an easy vote. Should be an easy vote because it's the second time you've had to do it, but we appreciate that vote. I have lived in Mundy Township now for half my life, literally half my life. And I am within 2 miles, actually 1.5 miles of the mega site property. My daughter is currently in Moorish, and I had 3 sons, all of whom went to Moorish. I think I probably speak for everybody. I'm going to say I speak for everybody, that everyone in this room is concerned about 2 things. One is not being heard. And I was here at the last meeting when Tyler gave his presentation and then left before any public comment was made. And I get it. We were probably a little hostile towards the idea that was just dropped on you guys and demanded a snap decision. But we want to be heard, and we appreciate that you're willing to hear us tonight and that you called this meeting and asked for public comment and didn't just make a snap decision. The other thing I think that everyone is afraid of here is this idea of the industrial complex. We're going to get some massive industrial thing coming in. It's going to pollute. It's going to have noise. It's going to increase traffic. It's going to bring different kinds of problems and issues to our area. It's not going to give us any taxes. It's not going to give us any benefits. It's not going to help us. And they want our schools, our churches, and our houses. The big industrial complex that I think we're all afraid of is afraid of their own things. One being wetlands. It's really hard to build on wetlands, as you guys know from the school. Well, we've got wetlands in the megasite. The other thing they're afraid of, building next to little kids. Having an elementary school makes them have to be accountable because you're right next door and you've got little kids right there. And we have that right now. And I think one of the reasons why this thing is so hard to market, despite its amazing marketability, supposedly, is the fact that it's on wetlands and has our school. Our kids deserve the tax dollars that should come from a lot of houses being built in the area, not a giant complex that's not going to provide any tax dollars either to the state or to the school. You know, our children deserve a place where they can grow up and have the school experience that we all had. I went to a small school. My kids enjoyed Moorish. All of my kids loved Moorish. And we appreciate the heritage that is Moorish. And yes, it's old. You know, my house is old. It was built in '72. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, we maintain our buildings. And I get it. I love the idea of a state-of-the-art school too. But there's other things to consider. And we thank you for doing that tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else?
I just want to thank you guys for holding the fort. There is no better place for that school, those kids. I've lived there on Linden and Maple Road for 25 years. And I thank God. I love being in the backyard and hearing the kids playing on the playground. It's a nice sound. And without them, it'll just be a bunch of traffic. And I really appreciate your guys' decision tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, Brian Jones, still here. First, she didn't speak for me, just so you know. It wasn't everybody here. Second of all, we've heard about the deep state. We've heard about the industrial complex. We've heard about how if we keep these kids here, they're not going to be able to do something. That's like human shields. That's a little bit disturbing. And then we've heard the usual round of nonsense from someone who declared her candidacy for a elected position and didn't know where she actually lived. So I think that you guys need to figure out, this is the second offer you've rejected. As Andrea said, you're sitting here, you're talking about spending money because as Ken has said, nobody works for free. You're going to spend money to see what happens, how much it might cost if they come back to us. That's what counteroffers are for. And if you didn't know that, you have a realtor sitting there. I'm pretty sure you have a realtor sitting back there. There's realtor companies everywhere. Ask how this works, because you did the same thing last time. You turned down the offer, and that is it. There is no going. You sent Jim Kitchen, and they told you to kick rocks. That is what happened. And whether you got what you wanted, whether you sit there with your dumb little grin and whatever, whether your little entourage here showed up and clapped for you, you did this. No, I'm not talking to you. Would you like me to talk to you?
Don't interrupt. Yeah. Just you can make the comments to the board in general or me, sir. Keep going.
I am. She's addressing me, Chuck.
And I stopped her. I apologize.
Okay.
Keep going. Give him his extra 15 or 20 seconds.
No,
Brad.
I don't need an extra 15 or 20 seconds. I need people that aren't fools on this board. I need people that don't sit there and go at me.
Just make your comments, sir, and let's move on.
I got 3 minutes.
And an extra 15 seconds I gave you.
Okay, cool. She acts like a child, Chuck.
Don't address her. Just go ahead and give
I
me your
didn't
comment.
address her. I'm addressing you.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, she's acting like a child. She's over there rolling her eyes and playing with her hair. People see this. You don't see Jenny doing that. You don't see Kim doing that. You don't see Andrea doing it. But you got her. You guys need to figure out something. Just something. Because you're ridiculous. You don't ask people that have expertise. You just do everything backwards. You do knee-jerk stuff, and then you say, oh, well, we gotta think about this.
Okay, thank
I'm
you for
done.
your comment, sir. Thank you, Brian. Anybody else like to make any comments? Okay, we'll go to board comments. I'll open the board. Who would like to make the first comment? None?
I'll go and get over with. Couple comments, and some are directed back towards, or to maybe clear up some of the comments from the public. Reference to the K-5 switch. Ben Macon made that decision during the COVID time. And in 8 weeks, he disrupted the district and moved everything. We addressed it in November of '25. Had the current administration that was here at the time started putting things in motion, we would have gave them 10 months. So I do think we were quite prepared. The teachers were given stipends. The teachers were allowed to pack their own stuff. The moving companies were come in. Teachers were moved, they were given well over 2 months' notice of where they were going and where they were going. So compare apples to oranges, wasn't even close. Guy hid behind the COVID epidemic and made his move. His move had been rejected twice. And the board at the time co-signed it. And I'm just giving my 2 cents on the tax dollar into this. I don't think we put up the $250 million. We put up a part of it, but it's like I've always had people tell me in my profession, I pay your salary. No, you don't. No, you don't. I see what you pay in taxes. You don't come close. When I worked at the city of Flint, not that one person paid my salary. They paid a portion of my salary. I won't disagree with that, but they didn't pay my salary. And if our tax dollars are being spent to purchase all these homes and purchase the school, we're doing the same thing when we come and beat you up for another bond and another bond and another millage. We're just doing the same thing, we just let you vote on it. You get to vote on whether you pay taxes by who you elect every 2 years or every 4 years, and you send to Lansing and you send to Washington. Those are all choices you make, who you elect. So I will come back to it, is the responsibility of the district is to keep this place afloat. All of our buildings are getting old. In about 20 years, everything will be 80 years old, minus the cage and the PAC, if you want to call that a building. The high school will still be ancient. So those are things we do need to worry about as a whole. So I do believe a new structure, no matter where it would be, should be a desirable thing. Because you're gonna need more than one. You know, again, I grew up in Flint. I went to old schools. My high school and my junior high school were built in the early 1900s. So they get old, and they get old quick. We do need to think about that, and we do need to purchase new buildings. But like I say, as far as the vote here tonight, I can't speak for the other 4 people that voted to not do this. My vote was not to do this. My vote was not to do this under the current set of circumstances. And, you know, that's what I find upsetting. I got a 30-day ultimatum. And by the way, maybe they won't come back a third time, but they came back, right? There's a reason they want that property. I don't think any of us know. We can sit here and guess, and, you know, it's about the kids, and it's about the structure and the location, and I don't know, but obviously they want that building. They wanted everybody's house in a 1 mile by 2 mile rectangle. So they obviously want that building too. You know, and you're gonna always have people that live by structures like that. As I've said here before, I grew up a stone's throw away from the Buick City complex. You know, living by a structure like that's not the end of the world. Still sitting here at 61 today, made it. All them fumes that blew west towards my house, lived through it. You know, they're gonna build a new subdivision right next to this place. That's not a huge issue. It's an issue, but it's not a huge issue. But there is a reason they want that building.
Autumn, do you have anything? Okay, I'll just move it along then. I know some people are saying that we don't know what we're doing, but we are doing the best that we can with what we have. The first offer was made, and we rejected it, but there was actually an offer a year before that, that part of the board did not know about that. So I don't know how you can blame some of the current board members here when we didn't even know the information. People don't want to recognize that, and they keep saying, why are you bringing it up? Because that's a matter of governance and fiduciary standards. And we are behind the 8 ball. We turned it down. They left. They came back. I agree with Ken. There's no way we can sell the school in short notice like this. I think that was part of my comment, and we have to have numbers and some data before we move forward, and that's what we're doing now. I think we're accomplishing that. So I don't know the negativity, I get it, but that's why you have a board of 7, and I will piggyback on Ken's comment about K-5. I was here for K-5, and I voted no for it, and I was outvoted, and that's okay. But Ken was completely correct. It was done on Zoom meeting. It was done, that it had to be done in 2 months. So, I mean, back there, you know, yeah, I think some people are ignorant, or they're either don't know the facts. I don't know what it is, but they did it in 2.5 months. They threw all the teacher stuff in a box, and they moved it, and I had nothing but complaints from the teachers that the stuff was going to be moved, and I was promised by the former board members and superintendent that the grades would go up, we would save money, and neither one of those happened. And there's people are back there that sometimes have said, you're not here for the kids. That's why we moved K-5 back, so the grades could go up. And you don't believe me? Go to Michigan school data. It's all been prepared. The data's there. And it was a board of 7 that voted to move it back. It wasn't a board of 2 to 5 or 5 to 2 or whatever it was. I believe all 7 of us were in somewhat agreement that we should do something. A few years back, when I discovered the grades were considerably lower than other districts, we did that. So I'm not going to defend it because it was the right thing to do. And if you can't see the data, then shame on you. Numbers don't lie. The only thing that lie are liars. So with that being said, that's why we switched that back. We did give them a full 10 months, and we had a little bit of pushback by some of our administrators, and they dragged their feet a little bit. But they got on board, and they did it, and they did a wonderful job. It may not be perfect, but it'll smooth out, and the goal is to keep the grades up and move them up somewhat. And Ken's on board with that, our new superintendent. He knows that's one of our main situations. And back to the mega site, we are going to get through it. If they want to make us another offer, fine. If they don't want to make us an offer, we'll deal with it. So I think that's it with that, and we'll all work through it together as a board, and I appreciate everybody's comments this evening. Everybody had good points. So with that being said,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you. There's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I want to thank the public for coming this evening. Thank you.